Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa. Today I'm going to be working on these cute little tags. It is a bust a scrap project, if you didn't notice in the title. And I was inspired from a YouTube channel called Raven Vintage. If I can remember, if I can try to track down the video, I will. It was part of a huge playlist where she was doing a bunch of scrap videos. And I loved it. I thought the idea was very fun. And it is basically just a piece of paper, roughly the size of 2.5 by 4, I believe I made them. Now, I did not watch her video in full, because that's how I roll, and I just gleaned some stuff and then made it my own. And that's what you should do. If you ever see a video from me, by all means, take what you will, parts of it, make it your own. You don't have to copy it exactly. I'm here to just give you ideas to inspire you to hopefully you take a spark of an idea and run with it. So this is my spark of an idea and ran with it. So it is a luggage tag, and I do have this slot punch for it, which is, I forgot where I got this from, but it is a heavy duty slot punch. And you probably could use a hole punch and like cut a bunch of holes out or something and do that, but I like the slot punch more. There is also that other one I have, but I think it would be too big for this project, and it's this one that does the let me see if I can punch a hole in something here. I have a piece of paper here. I don't know if it's going to be thick enough to do it, but there it is. Yeah, see, this would be pretty big for a, what do you want to call it? A luggage tag. I would say a library tag, but a luggage tag. So we're going to cut these. Let me show you how I made these, made these luggage tags. This here, which is supposed to resemble like that loop that hangs off, I did make it flexible and movable. You don't have to, but it kind of looks like it meant to go attached to something. So I have both of them on here. I attached to the back of the one a plain piece of paper. My decoration did wrap around. Just little notes, be able to stick it in a little pocket somewhere. It was really kind of the whole goal, just to make a cute little tag. So stay tuned and I'll show you how I made these. Okay, I've pre-made a few that I have already put the backings on these. And as you can see, they're all different sizes. And the reason they're different sizes is because I went through my scrap pile and I found just pieces of paper that I thought would work to get close to the 2.5 by 4 inch size. Are these both exact? Yeah, those are both 2.5 by 4, but these are definitely not. Like, see, this one's a bit shorter than that one. This one is definitely shorter. This one is a bit skinnier. So yeah, it was just pieces of paper. So like for these, well, this one I glued already. For this, I had this strip of paper in my scrap pile, so I just folded it in half, and I thought this would make a good size, and this ended up being just shy of 2.5 by 3.5. So not quite 4, not quite 2.5, but close enough to make a tag. I did make them double-sided because all these papers I had were much thinner, and if I had a thicker piece, I might just go ahead and make it single-sided, but I did it that way. And after I glued them and let them dry, I did trim them for like this bad folding where there's a little excess on there for that. So for this one, okay, for this one, you can see the white on here. This was 2 separate pieces of paper that were about the same size, and I just glued them front to back, 2 pieces, similar to this here. And these are not the same size, but I thought the colors went great together to go into the same journal. So I'm going to glue this to the front, or the back of that one. And this would be the front, and that would be the back. And again, it doesn't really totally matter if I put it on there straight or crooked, because I'm going to go back and trim it. Oops, bent it a little. Trim it to be the right size after it dries. So that would be the ones. That one's actually dry already, but I haven't put it back on there. So these I'd let dry on their own. So for this one, that has been drying for a while. Like I said, I would trim it down, and so if it's going to be 2.5 wide, I'm going to cut this first piece a little bit longer, and we're going to go to 2.5, get it quite a bit. Now this 2.5 by 4 is just a random size in my mind that I thought looked proportioned. But again, like I said, some of them are a little bit smaller. Yeah, this one's going to be a tad bit smaller than 4. I got to get that white gone, and we'll get the white gone on this side, just to get them even. So this one, I did get the 2.5, but it ended up being about 3 7/8. All right, so the other thing I did on these is I did nick the corners off. Straight corner, hopefully you can see. Straight corner not nicked, corner nicked. I think it just looks so much better if you just ever so slightly, and it doesn't even have to be that much, just get the corner nicked off. I think it looks so much better. I did go through and all my pile, and I did ink them just because they were white on the inside of everything, just to make it normal size. All right, and then I took my handy dandy slot punch and I made the slot for it. And we're gonna eyeball the center and go from there. Okay, so with that said, oh, I have to put on the backing. Now this was just a random piece of beige paper. You could probably use tie-dyed or coffee dyed, something like that. And I have a piece cut here already. Oh, that'd be perfect. Any sort of backing that you want to put on there, you know, a solid color that's light, anything that you want to write on. Now, if the back of this was lighter and totally writable, I could probably avoid this step and just have it be written on the back. But I do like, and all the ones I chose really, this one probably could have been similar to that, written on the back, but I just put the paper on there. So that is, and I put it on the wrong side, but that's okay. I guess I'm going to be decorating this side. This was the side that I was going to decorate, but they're pretty both neutral, right? Yeah, they're both neutral. Okay, we're again let that dry since it's kind of curling up. Now, the second part is those little tab things. I'm going to make put the punches in here. Now, this would definitely be a easy mass make to be able to make this tag, without just decorating it. Because it's just folding it in half and, whoops, or putting two pieces together and gluing them, and then adding a little bit of background and punching holes. Oh, missed one. And this one I really, there we go. I tried to, and not really tried to, but I made the papers go below the hole. Get out, there we go. I made the papers go below the hole, but on this one, I did have a bigger piece because this was shorter, and I don't mind that the hole is cut inside of there. Okay, so with that said, these little tab things I use for my scrap pile. These strips. Now these strips mostly are from banding strips. And you can tell because there's a hole in there. So this was a banding strip that I cut off, and they're usually pretty thin. Some are a little thick. Oh, there went that piece. Some are a little thicker. A lot of these banding strips are double-sided, so you can use both of them. Fun, not. Now the other choice I had were these. Now these are Tim Holtz strips, and some of them are thinner, some of them are a little thicker, but I do not recall what this is called, but they were a package of Tim Holtz strips, and this could definitely be something else to use if you didn't have any other strips you wanted to use. Since it is bust a scrap, these are the scraps, those are not. Just saying. All right, so one thing I did find, and I don't recall if this was a scrap or maybe it was one of those, but it was too wide for the hole, and I did have to go and trim it down. So let's see if that would be kind of fun on there. Actually be kind of fun on all these. I think I'm gonna put on this one. Let's see if it's too wide. No, actually it's not. Okay, but if it was too wide, I would need to go through and trim it down a little bit. But for this, I'm not. And I'm just going to put it in there, and I'm gonna fold it how far I want it to be. And then I'm gonna trim it off and save that piece for possibly another one. All right, I'm gonna flip this around because I do prefer, oops, that yellow beige in the front. Now, if you want to ink it, probably could do it before you slide it in there. Would not be a bad idea. And I also went through and did the same thing on these corners just to soften them up a little bit. Okay, and yellow in the front. Now, like I said, I made these so they do slide and they're a little bit more flexible. So I just took a little art glitter glue and put some at the tip and closed it. So that it was not completely glued on for that. Now, if you wanted to use ribbon, string, yarn, trims, by all means, that would be totally fine. I'm using these little paper strips because bust a scrap. Those are scrap pieces I have laying around doing absolutely nothing. No good for anybody, usually, because they're a little thicker, but I think they work great for little baby straps, right? Now this one's a fun one. This one's got numbers on it, and it might be a little bit big, but it is a tad bit big. But I think I can even it out a little bit and do my best to cut this straight here. And see if I can yep, it fits now. And I just make it the whole length. I mean, it's cutting off such a little piece. I'll make it the whole length. If I feel like it, I can go back and cut it later, right? All right, I didn't trim the edges. I'm gonna go back and do that, and then just give a little, you have a little snip, and call it done. So you can see how it just hangs on there like a very similar thing. So we decorate the front, add a butterfly, add a tag, add a label, you know, a ticket, something like that on there, however you want it to do. Put a ticket on there and a little writing space, tuck it in, right? Super cute. All right, let's see if we can find a couple more here and just finish these off. I like that with the kind of blue hanging over. So this truly is a simple little project, don't you think? And that's really what these scrap projects should be. Is you're just having fun and getting rid of some scraps. Whoops. Yeah, there's a little teal in that. See, honestly, I actually think this was part of this one, but like farther down, I had a bigger piece of paper, and I cut one end off and the other end off, and like what a difference it makes from one end to the other. You barely know that they are part of the same paper, yet you do see that they look alike. I do like this. Yeah, these banding strips work really well. I like that. We're going to go with that because they are a perfect size to go in that hole. have been looking for a project to use those for. So I probably should have been using some of those, but when you find good ones and you just want to use them. Yeah, it almost looks like there's like a wing there, a butterfly wing, but I like there's like bluish, gray, brown, the lines. The line going up the back like the wood. Perfect. I love it. All right. So, did I pull out one of those banding strips from Mr. Tim Holtz? I don't recall. Oh, I think it was this one. Was it? Yeah, it was this one because it had the skillful workman, and I think I will use that because there's brown and burgundy there. I'm going to use this one. And we're going to fold it. Come on, fold by the skill. There we go. You know, it's funny, I look at this Tim Holtz piece that I just cut the end. And this end that came from him, quarters are a little bit rounded compared to that side. Interesting, huh? Even Mr. Tim Holtz thinks it's a good idea to just nick the ends off, kind of round them a little bit. Okay. Put a little dab will do ya. Glue at the top. It's kind of funny. Skillful workman with the fleur-de-lis and the little gold trim. I like the juxtaposition of the two. Okay, so this blue striped one. Peach. I mean, I got other ones. Yellow and blue. Yellow and blue always are fun together, right? Some words. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut it, but I am going to go back. I think this is a banding strip, but it's got this extra little white on the end I'm not totally a fan of. I'm going to trim it off. Trim the corners. And I don't think I ever trimmed the corners on these. Now this one I don't think I ever inked it because I like the lighter color, so I'm not going to bother inking that one either. We're going to make it both uninked. Okay. Now look how fast it was. Go ahead and do that, and I got rid of quite a few of those banding strips. Do I keep that? That's pretty tiny, but it's a piece of Tim Holtz, right? I was cutting a project recently, the little triangle pieces of corners, and it was Tim Holtz paper, and I even debated keeping those, and I said, no, Lisa, get rid of them. That is just too much. Let's stick it in my little bucket because you just never know. Okay, so there is that. Now I have these that I made recently with those things, and actually that I think would, that little chicken might look cute on there. We're gonna pull this chicken off, and we're gonna round the edges with the tiny rounder. And we're going to see all right, that does fit, like barely fits. So I think I'm actually going to trim it down a little, and I'm going to re-circle the end here. Yeah, that fits a little bit better. That's a little more comfortable. add that to it. We'll use some stick glue. Make sure we get in all those little crevices where the stitching is. And I know they said these are luggage tags, so, you know, why would you have a picture of a chicken on a luggage tag? But, you know, they always said, like when I remember traveling when I was younger, like the hint was to put something unique on your luggage, bright colored ribbons and stuff like that, so that you could see from a distance which was yours. So you might see a little chicken from a distance and know that that is yours. I love it. Now, if you had those like line stamps or something, kind of like those ID cards, you could probably stamp something like that on the back to have a little bit of formalish kind of writing space. That would be kind of fun, right? I think I should just put some sort of little bit number there. There we go. I just needed something to ground it, and maybe a little bit of a little boo-boo tape. I got a green version. Yeah, I might just cut this in half though. It looks a little bit big, but I'm gonna trim the white off, even though it's not white when you take the sticker off, because that's just the backer paper that looks white. But I try to get rid of the white because that gets rid of extra glossy that doesn't need to be. I think I'll put it up there, but I think I will cut it. And just use a part of it. Scale wise, I think the smaller scale looks a little bit better. Yeah, I like it. See, those come in handy to pre-make those, right? Just how I happen to see it sitting over there, and there you go. Cute, right? Put that guy back over there. Yeah, I like it. Now, I had pulled out some other stuff here to play with for one of these. This is part of this one that I took off, and it looked like it had the same colors as this, but I think it might block it too much. I don't think I want to block too much on that one. But this one, that might look good with that one, but I think we need to get rid of some of it. So we're going to trim it right there. Yeah, I like it. It says airmail, so that's perfect for a flight. And you could probably, as I'm looking at it, you could probably put something on here. If you didn't have these, you could just put regular plain cardstock and stamp it with some little tidbit kind of thing. And we got these tidbit kind of numbers and stuff like that. See the other side, that would be perfect. I like that. Let's use that. I think maybe a little flower would go on here. And I happen to open to this page, and I think that would actually work pretty good. It's got pink and purple. Maybe just do that little guy. I think I'm gonna just do that little guy. Okay, I'm gonna glue this down, and then I'll come back to that. All right, now for this, I'm gonna fix the ends, the little cattywonk here. Like a drunken sailor was cutting these earlier. Put a little that on there, and this can be glued. I think we can go with paper. All right, so we're gonna put that there. I think I'm gonna use, this is a little thicker paper. I'm gonna use a little bit of art glitter glue on that. Beautiful. And we are gonna try to lift this. Might put some more glue back on there. I just want that to go below. There we go, none the wiser. Yeah, I like it better with it tucked under. And I think maybe that other part of that green boo-boo tape, because there's green in here, maybe put it yeah. I don't mind that it wraps around like that. Cute, right? I like it. Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave the rest for future projects that need to have some decoration on them, because, you know, it's always good to have these things on standby for stuff. Like I said, I do have this extra stuff that could be attached. Some tickets, the rest of that piece. I think that was in a Tim Holtz thing, I'm not sure. But yeah, I really like them. And I hope you do too. So pretty easy, scrap buster, bust a scrap, right? A couple pieces of paper, either folded or stuck together. Nice little strip on the top, either a banding strip or some other even just thin piece of scrap you have left. And that's a bust a scrap project right there. My little freebie, if you haven't seen those on Ko-fi, my little mini stamps. This one I put a ticket, wrapped that around, added a stamp, another one of those little number things, and called it done. Yeah. I like them. All right, I think we're gonna call this project done. If you like the video, a thumbs up would be great. Please leave a comment below if you decide that you'd like to do this, or tell me which one your favorite version is. I love to hear from you guys, and if you have any questions, I always am happy to answer it. So that is going to be it for me today. As usual, I hope you all have a wonderful and creative day. Bye for now.